Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into a massive, truly fascinating metaphysical exploration. We're going to be unpacking a transdisciplinary theory by Alan Henry Regis Imbert. At its core, this work is structured around one mind-bending idea, that the human body and human speech actually constitute the two fundamental archives of our entire experience. This conceptual framework completely rethinks what it means to be alive, arguing that every single experience you have is permanently, physically recorded.
Okay, let's dive into this. This profound axiom frames our entire biological and spiritual existence in a completely new light. You see, the author is suggesting that you and I, we aren't just static objects walking around. We're actually a continuous, dynamic flow of thermodynamic energy. It's like looking at a human being as a living reactor, right? A place where raw information from the world around us is constantly, actively transforming into the very physical and mental structures that make us who we are.
So, here is our cognitive roadmap for today. We'll start by defining the two archives, then examine the body as a physical vault, explore the word as an archaeological vestige, redefine time as a signal, and finally tie it all together in a grand synthesis.
Part 1. The two archives, the foundational registries of human experience.
And this brilliantly illustrates the overarching premise of the entire theory. Human experience isn't just a fleeting memory that vanishes into thin air. Instead, everything you experience is permanently recorded in two fundamental registries. By combining etymology with semantics, this framework shows us how trauma, joy, and memory are stored equally in both places. They are literally baked into the cells of our bodies through physical thermodynamic reactions, and they're embedded in the words we speak through historical and vibrational signals.
Moving on to Section 2, the body as a physical archive, beyond biology into cellular memory. Listen, we've got to push way beyond basic biology here. The author describes the human organism as an incredibly sensitive electrochemical vault. Every single intense emotional event you go through leaves a literal physical footprint. We're talking about neurological traces, sudden hormonal shifts, and deep electrophysiological signatures. The central idea is that your body doesn't just abstractly remember an event, it literally archives your lived reality and your social trajectories straight into your physical matter. Literally every interaction modifies you at a cellular level.
To really wrap our heads around this, the author maps out the evolutionary cycle of these thermodynamic forces across three specific scales. Think of the body as a reactor, processing sunlight and information. Step 1 is the microscopic view, events happening down at the atomic and quantum level, like a photon of light hitting a synapse. Step 2 scales that up to the corpuscular view, which is your cellular building blocks in your individual body. And finally, Step 3 is the macroscopic view, looking at the entire human species and our collective biopower.
Section 3. The word as an archaeological vestige, the hidden geometry of language.
I'm going to ask you to completely rethink what language and etymology actually represents in the real world. Because in this framework, words are far more than just ink on a page. Let's slow down for a second, because this is an entirely original concept from the author, phonancey. It's defined as the engineering of biological reality through sound. This posits that acoustic waves aren't just random noises. They act as a translation language that actively reorders informational chaos within a living system. Words are vibrational signals. When you speak, you are actively altering your physical plasticity. You're transforming the word into an archaeological vestige. Seriously, think about words as archaeological ruins. Consider this incredible quote from the text. A first name, Alan, is the sigil of an entire people. This refers to the ancient Alan people. It brilliantly shows how an entire cultural identity, a whole civilization, can migrate, assimilate, and eventually condense down into a single linguistic marker. The massive, complex structure of that civilization disappears over time, but its essential signal, the vibration of that one name, survives and continues to be spoken today.
Part 4. Time as a signal, decrypting the multidimensional flow.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we synthesize these ideas by introducing time. But forget the ticking clock on the wall. Here, time is a multidimensional signal. The present moment instantly crystallizes into a geometric, architectural foundation for the future. Notice how French verbs perfectly demonstrate this. Sentir, the present act of feeling, immediately solidifies into senti, what was felt, a permanent structure in the archive. Dire, to say, becomes dit, what was said and remains. The fluid, chaotic action of the present is just constantly freezing into the permanent architecture of your past.
To comprehensively decode this reality, the text dictates that time is actually perceived and decrypted through the prism of 7 distinct languages. These aren't just spoken tongues. They act as direct tools of analysis to interpret human civilization. Through this multifaceted prism, the author uses several distinct historical and conceptual lenses. The Khazars illustrate how political identities circulate. The Elaines show how entire peoples transmit through time. Crop circles explore how the human mind spontaneously creates meaning out of complex geometry. Egregores represent the sheer power of collective belief, and sigillaires represent a documentary architecture of our relationships.
Finally, Section 5, the grand synthesis, unifying biology and semantics.
It is time to seamlessly unite the biological reality of ourselves with the semantic reality of our language. To bridge that massive gap between matter and meaning, we have to look at another unique term, fondateur. It's a mashup of the words foundation and suture. Fondateur is the act of taking an architecture of thought, which is usually just swirling around in a state of chaotic flux, and anchoring it into a stable, active, and inviolable landmark. This is the ultimate goal here, stopping the fragmentation of the self by unifying biology and semantics within this highly innovative temporal framework.
So the crucial point is that the human mind is absolutely not just an isolated computer trapped inside a skull. No way. It is an extraordinary active interface. The brain acts simultaneously as an antenna receiving information, a signal transmitting intention, and a cosmic substrate that connects our biological matter directly with the frequencies of the universe.
I want to wrap up this explainer by posing this exact provocative question from the very core of the source text. How can we know that what we think of the world isn't simply a reflection of our own way of looking at it? It's a question that challenges the absolute foundation of our perception. I'll leave you to ponder that one, and I highly encourage you to keep exploring the incredible metaphysical architecture of your own existence.